hoped for it. A lot of credit goes to Judge Yonker for digesting the information. It was really a team effort in there. The family, Ty, most importantly, they did all the work. Gary and I just presented the work to the court.
And you said you were going to make the case for fewer years, and you got that.
We got what we asked for. In essence, we asked for 72 months. He gave 75 months, and I think it's a sentence that really truly does reflect two main things. Number one, Ty's true, sincere, uber acceptance of responsibility. He truly was sorry for what he did, and the steps he's taken to make up for that. The steps that he has taken to undo what he did were both the two biggest factors in that sentencing today.
Mark, you said he came to you with this desire to plead guilty.
Just to be clear, prior to Gary and I getting discovery, prior to Gary and I truly being able to evaluate any legal or factual defenses to the case, Ty came to us and said, I know what I did. I'm going to accept responsibility. I'm going to plead guilty, and I'm going to undo what I did. So yes, Ty absolutely came to us and said, this is what I'm going to do. And we said, well, we haven't even gotten discovered. We haven't even told you whether we can win or not. I don't care. I know what I did, and what I did was wrong.
Gary, with your background in the FBI, in general, can you speak about what this means about radicalization, domestic terrorism, what the messages it sends?
Yeah, I think what you see here is the system really working. The FBI reacted quickly on the information. They were able to foil the plot, first of all, and that's great work on their part. But secondly, you see that the justice system really worked the way that it's supposed to. Ty accepted responsibility for what he did, as Mark said, but he also tried to make amends for what he did by cooperating, and then being smart enough to know that, all right, I need to do more to better myself after this by de-radicalizing and then helping others. So to me, not only did Ty handle it perfectly, the U.S. Attorney's Office was fair with everything that all of our dealings with them were very fair, and Judge Yonker, to his credit, took into account the seriousness of it. As the government said, you can't understate it, but he also tailored it to Ty's personal characteristics, which is what you want. So I feel great about it. I think it's a victory for the criminal justice system, and I know that Ty's happy about it too.
What's next in terms of him as a witness? You early on in this case raised some questions about how the confidential informants had acted. We now see that's a big part of the defense. What can Ty Garbin provide that says that this was much more than something that was prodded on by confidential informants?
Well, what he can do is tell what was in his mind at the time, which is that this wasn't some fanciful plot, this was real. And he can tell the government why he believes other people had the same intent that he did, and show them where to look.
And in addition to that, by the way, I think the government does a very good job of pointing out that Ty fills in the blanks. There were times when there wasn't a confidential informant. There were times when there wasn't an undercover. And Ty did a great job in all of his cooperation by now, up till this point, of filling those blanks in, of putting meat on the bones of the government's case. And that can't be underestimated.
So in your mind, the confidential informants didn't overstep in this case. They didn't push it. They didn't push this plot along.
Well, I think there's two things that you have to look at, actually. You have to look at what the undercover agents did, and obviously they're more heavily regulated, they're more professionally trained, and then you have the cooperating witnesses who are just ordinary people off the street who, whether the FBI tells them what to do, they may not always follow those directions. So naturally, that's where some of the gray area occurs. And we weren't steeped in all of that because, frankly, Ty accepted responsibility so quickly. We didn't have to go down all those rabbit holes.
And we don't know what the other lawyers are seeing. And like Gary said, I mean, they deserve a fair trial. Okay, they may be seeing things that the confidential informants or the undercovers, were doing, and they filed motions, and Judge Yonker, I'm sure, will give them their day in court and give them a fair hearing on those motions. Our focus is not on those guys. Our focus is on Ty and his family.
And we heard from both sides that we do expect Ty to be a star witness, as you put it. Is that the case, and he's prepared to do that?
Yes.
Overall, just happy with what came about?
I think whether or not Gary and I are happy, and look, we enjoy working together. We work well together, and it's always good professional challenge to work with a lawyer as talented and as hardworking as Gary. Okay, but more important, how we feel about it. Ty's family is extremely satisfied, and they thank all the parties involved. They were very, very generous in their gratitude towards us, but even more importantly, to, as Gary said, the U.S. Attorney's Office, to Judge Yonker, to the probation department. This, as Gary said, is truly a victory for the criminal justice system. The right thing happened today, and the family recognizes that.
And even, I'll add one more name in there, and that's Doug Passon, who helped us put together the mitigation video, and I thought he did an outstanding job of synthesizing a lot of material, including Ty's whole life, the complexities of this case, how Ty got involved, and how he sees himself getting out of it. So I thought that Doug did a great job, and he was a critical part of this team as well.
No doubt. Parents for Peace, Dr. Abramsky, there's a lot of people that did a lot of hard work to get to where we are now, and to their credit, the family is extraordinarily grateful.
And Ty received just over 6 years. I mean, did you expect that? And can you just reiterate your reaction to getting that downgrade?
The right thing happened today.
Is it rare? Typically, judges tend to side with the prosecutor's office in a sentencing. Is it rare in your career to see something like this happen, where you get exactly what you wanted?
I don't know that it's exactly what we wanted to see happen. It's what we asked for, essentially. But more importantly, we just want the judge to do exactly what he is supposed to do, and that's impose a sentence based on all the factors that Congress told him he had to consider. And he did, and like I said before, I think the right result came out. But to the bigger point, is this unusual to get a downward variance or to get credit for cooperation? No. I think that's probably the rule now rather than the exception. So I think it depends district to district, but for the most part, that's the norm now, as the criminal justice system trends toward a little bit more leniency in prison and more rehabilitative programs.
The judge is tasked with finding a sentence that is sufficient but not greater than necessary. That is the legal terminology, and that's exactly what happened today. The judge did just that.
What did you think of the governor's victim impact statement and how that played out in court? Decision the judge made?
I think that the governor's impact statement, where it acknowledges Ty's acceptance of responsibility, his plea of guilty, and his cooperation was well written, and I think it expresses, I think we all share to some extent a concern with where America is in 2021, which is to say a fractured country where we can't even agree on, we can't agree to disagree. We don't listen to each other, and quite frankly, it creates a situation where, unfortunately, a good person from a great family like Ty Garbin stood in front of a federal judge today, and it's a victory for him to have gotten 6 years.
How much do you think this is an example for, maybe kids down the line who are kind of teetering on that line, whether they try to do something radical or something like that? You see his situation where he kind of fell in that rabbit hole, and now he's kind of trying to dig himself out. How much do you think this is an example for people like that in the future?
Well, we obviously hope it's going to be a great example. First, that Ty can go out and prove that you can change after making a mistake. It doesn't mean because he committed a crime he's a bad person. It doesn't mean that he was a bad employee or a bad son. What it means is he made a mistake.
At this point, but yes, it's possible that depending on where he gets placed by the BOP, there are certain precautions that would hopefully be taken.
Yeah, once they take him into custody, it's their responsibility to keep him safe. And, that's no small task given what he did by cooperating against this extremist group.
just for the record, can we get your guys' names and can you spell them?
It's funny because
When
the
you're
first
done.
time we did this, he was Mark Satawa and I was Gary Springstead,
so that's
which
clarification.
is a compliment from me, and maybe not so much
That's
for
why
him.
he said that I was a hard worker.
So it's Mark Satawa, and the good-looking one is Gary Springstead.
Nope. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.